I don't know. Fly casual.
All right, hey, welcome to the Sloppy Modeler. Welcome to the finale of the Star Wars Rogue One ensemble kit, I guess you could say. This was a combination of 3 kits we're about to show you here. Essentially, what you're looking at here on the front, here's the U-Wing fighter, and that is a particular favorite of mine. I really like the way that the weathering turned out on that. It's got just Tamiya chocks, as you saw in the previous video, but essentially that's the U-Wing fighter. I put it on its landing gear because I didn't really want to put it down onto, I didn't want to put it onto a stand of any sort. So that's kind of where the U-Wing fighter sits. In front of that are the 2 U-Wing tanks, or the battle tanks, I should say, with their little stormtroopers on it, and the cargo carriers in the back, their guns that are pointing up. Those, quite honestly, were the most fun to do of all of these. The weathering turned out fantastic. I think you saw with the Tamiya weathering chocks, and I think that really turned out wonderful. The Star Wars TIE Striker, and I actually used quite a bit of weathering on this. The TIE Striker came together with just a little bit of painting, and I only painted the interior panel. I really didn't paint anything else besides that, and set that on its little stand there. So that was the that was the TIE Striker in that regard. And then probably my favorite is right here with the Super Star Destroyer in like 1/1,000,000th scale or something like that. It's absolutely gigantic. But in real life, I think like 11 kilometers long, I think, is what that ship turns out to be in real life. So it's huge. So what I did is I just took an Altoids tin, and I think you can see that in the bottom. Yep, an Altoids tin. Painted it gray. Mounted the stand that comes with it. And then the 13 engines are right there. We'll tip that up just a little bit so that you can see it. And those are super, super tiny SMDs, individual SMDs, that I drilled holes in the back of the engines, pulled the SMD up tight, the wiring in there, and then managed to get like managed to get 7 resistors in there, along with painting this, just all one color, and like I said, that was just it was just a lot of fun, and it turned out fantastic. My favorite, probably of all of them, though, turned out to be the TIE Striker in the 1/72nd scale, and you can see here I just put a little base on it. The base is a hexagonal base, where I then glued the base from the kit onto it, and then all I did was add several lights, and I'm going to kill a light or two here. Hopefully we can see those. Hopefully we can see those lights. So here's a light right there in the red for the nav light, and then here's a light for the green and a nav light, and then I just filled those with microcrystal clear. I think they turned out really well. And then finally, I think you can see the light there in the cockpit, and those turned out fantastic with the cockpit lighting there. Just two little yellow lights going on. And then if I spin this around, you can see that there's the light in the cockpit. Let's pull this up. The light in the cockpit is there with a little bit of yellow in the cockpit, and then the green underneath, and then the green lasers on top. So I would say that I'm pretty excited with the way this whole thing has turned out. I'm pretty excited with the look of the little tiny TIE Striker, and there you can see definitely the Super Star Destroyer in scale, and especially like the way that the lights turned out in that with all of that orange underneath there, as you can see. That was a really kind of a neat project. And again, finally the base, which I went with the hexagonal, and then you can see the extensive weathering there again on the U-wing Striker. So this is essentially the finale to the joint Rogue One TIE Striker and the U-wing fighter, the battle tanks, and adding in, of course, the little tiny Super Star Destroyer. And I wish somebody would make a styrene kit that was like one, I don't know what the scale would be, but give it to me that's 2.5 to 3 feet long in the Super Star Destroyer. You guys have all the stuff that you need to do that, but that would be nice to have that put together. So with that, that is kind of a bunch of the imagery that we're going to use for the Rogue One battle kit. Thank you. All right, well, here you can see the back of the Super Star Destroyer, and more importantly, we've got the back of the TIE Striker in frame. We're going to talk a little bit about the TIE Striker first, and what some of the nice points that I liked about putting it together, and then some of the paint and some of the challenges and the lights. This was a lot of fun to do on this kit. These Bandai kits go together amazingly. So here's a kind of a final overview shot. Shows the two lasers coming out of the front, and then what you've got are the two green lights underneath the cockpit, and you can see a little bit of the glow of the cockpit as you're looking at it. From the top, actually the gray panels there are just gray primer, and then the mission models paints, and I absolutely love that stuff. It airbrushes well and brushes well. It's fantastic. And you can see now the green navigation light on the right hand side and a bit of the glow of the yellow light on the top. And that kind of shows you exactly what how that light comes up from inside the cockpit at that point. Again, coming back around, here you can see the back of the lights on the Star Wars Super Star Destroyer. That's an awesome little kit, and I had more trouble with the resistors than I actually did with the lights, because these new SMDs are so tiny, you've got a significant amount of space to put into those, and then not worry about it too much. And alright, as we go into the top of the TIE Striker, again, here's that yellow lighting. I didn't use white or soft white or any of that. It's actually yellow, two little SMDs glued to the floor of the cockpit. And then you can also see the green coming up through the canopy on the front. And that looks fantastic. Here's through the top. Now, I didn't use a black marker to decorate that top. I think it comes through okay. I did on the back, and I'll show you that in a few minutes on the back one. But here's a close-up of the top view of the cockpit, and again the green glow coming up through the canopy front. I think it just gives us a fantastic look and a nice way of seeing where that is at. Now as we come around the front, showing again the lights as they're turned on, and I really like that glow of the green that pulls off of the starboard side wing. Those green LEDs are ultra bright. They're fantastic. You can see a little bit of the yellow coming through out of the cockpit, out of the front iconic window there of the TIE Striker, you know, and all the TIE bombers, all the TIE fighters. They all have that iconic hexagonal window in the front. Very, very cool, and very, very exciting the way that turned out. Now, as we go a little bit further, here are the lights for the navigation lights. The red one on the starboard side, port got the green one, and then you can see also right there the black magic marker I used for the rear canopy, and that turned out fantastic. Much easier than actually painting. Again, here's the green one. You know, two different types of resistors, as I mentioned, go into those, giving you a nice even view of both the red and the green as you're coming on the navigation lights. And then front view with a little bit of the top overview. Here's what the whole thing looks like lit up. You can see actually the navigation lights. You can see the green lasers in the front canopy, and then the top canopy with that yellow. And I wasn't sure if that yellow was going to look nice, but I actually ultimately I think that turned out really sharp. And here's a view of both the navigation lights, the green and the red on the back of the TIE Striker. And then coming into view again is the Super Star Destroyer. Here's a couple final photos of the TIE Striker, and you can see that those lasers really look sharp because they actually pick up some of the green from the LED lights that are just a little ways back. You can see them there. You can actually see them picking up, and I think that's a nice contrast there between the green and the yellow lighting that you see on the TIE Striker right there. All right, so as we continue around here, you're seeing the little tiny TIE Striker that came with the Bandai kit, and then here is the finished one. No paint on this, except I painted the panels because they had that wavy plastic in it. I painted them with just a black, and then did a dull coat over the top of them, and then finally used the Tamiya weathering. Gives a much different appearance than the larger TIE Striker, but I think I like it on this little one. Looks like it maybe has been through a little more damage or been through a little more weathering than the larger one, and this pose looks like it's ready to strafe a bunch of enemies down on the beach, and you know, it just looks aggressive, and with the two wings like that versus the two side by side, it makes it just for a different looking model. You know, Bandai did a nice job of putting this together the way that they did. This model comes together really nice. From Bandai, how that comes together. It's easy to assemble. It's all snap tight. I didn't use any glue on this. I do like that weathering look. And again, there's no paint on the actual light gray. The dark gray has paint and it has weathering on it, but there's actually no paint on the rest of it. So you could build this kit without any paint, and it would go together really well, and it'd look okay. It would look nice. So definitely seeing coming around here, you're seeing the battle tanks now. And I will say this, out of everything that I did, they were the coolest ones to do. I think probably because of the weathering that I did on them, and I think you saw some of that a little bit earlier in the video. It's a little tiny tank. It's a little tiny piece of styrene. And but it did go together well. It went together again without any glue, simply a snap together kit. Did a little bit of painting on the different colors, and when that came together, I was really thrilled. And I actually just used a black felt tip marker on the Stormtrooper there to give him a little definition in his face and his hands, the way it would normally be. And again, so here's a quick shot of the final overview of the battle tank and all of its guns and its storage. Definitely a very cool little piece, and the fact that you get two of them, I was pretty excited about that. Alright, so what we're seeing here again is the Super Star Destroyer. You got one little light peeking out there on the bottom, but I wanted to walk through what this was. Of all of these, again, it was a lot of fun, but it was absolutely the hardest, most troublesome of the kits, just because of what I had to cram into the thing. So essentially, it's got 13 lights. I used little tiny 0402 SMDs in there. But the problem is that you have the resistors that go onto it. And when I tried to wire the resistors in, and I did those internally to that ship, I simply ran out of room. So what I had to do was epoxy one side with some 30-minute epoxy that just held like a brick, and then squeeze it together and epoxy the other side, and they actually popped loose a couple times. Out of 13 engines, I managed to get 12 lit, and I'm so stubborn I actually bought another kit, so I'm going to redo this with what I learned. But definitely a very cool, fun event to build this kit here. I'm also thrilled with the paint color. Yeah, that paint color is nothing more than a Tamiya light gray paint. I spray painted the entire thing with that color, and top, bottom, inside. Essentially everything was done with just one color. You don't see discernible colors on the other one, so that's what we're looking at. And again, here just coming around the back, you can see that Superstar Destroyer and how it just looks so menacing in the Star Wars universe. It's the Executor class, and again, a little Altoids tin, and that houses three 3-volt watch batteries that I wired in for that. And then I just stuck the base that came with the Bandai kit and stuck it right to it. And essentially, it's a little tiny kit, but it did come together and looks very sharp. And then you can have that. I have just that one button on and off that's mounted to the side of it. Even the hinge still works, so I can get in there and repair or replace those batteries should they die at some point, which I'm sure that they will. And then I'll say it before I say it again. This side has got all the lights lit up, a bank of 3, a bank of 2, another bank of 3, and then the other way is kind of the same way. It's a bank of 3, 2, and 3 again, giving a 13 total. And it's just, it amazes me that this came together the way that it did. So for the Bandai kit, it's a fantastic little kit. Like I said, I ordered another one, and I actually have the Star Destroyer that I'm going to light up with blue engines. I'm not going to do that kit right now. That's kind of put in the stash, but at least I know how to do it, and I know what I'm going to do for the next round. So I think what we've got here is now just a look at the U-Wing fighter, and I think that's probably my favorite ship out of most of the Star Wars universe. And everybody will say it's the Millennium Falcon, and it's very cool. And I watched Solo, and for the first time recently, so I saw that ship, and it's like, all right, yeah, it's still very cool. But something about the U-Wing, the versatility of it, the fact that you have it as a fighter, as a freighter, as a troop transport, all of those things really make a difference to me. Here's with the wings extended, and I think that is a very cool look. It reminds me of the B-1B bomber, the way that those wings can be articulated and swing all the way back, left or right. And it's interesting that the wings also swing with the landing gear at the same time. So, when you see that, it's like, all right, that's very cool, and it's really a neat way of doing this ship so that it could land with the wings extended or land with the wings collapsed or folded in for transport mode. And then here's kind of a final shot of the U-Wing itself. The weathering doesn't show up, and I understand that was a big challenge with listening to some of the interviews with the guys who produced it for the actual movies, is that when you do this, you have to weather far darker than you think, because when you get a lot of light on it, the weathering absolutely disappears. But I think we've got some better video and all that. So with that, I think that's going to bring us to the end of the finale of the Star Wars Rogue One. I know that you could be any place in the world watching anything else, but you've spent this time watching it with me, and I appreciate that greatly. I appreciate your support, your comments, anything I can do that you want to comment on that I could do better, please do so. Thank you very much. If you like the video, hit like and subscribe. Share it if it's fun or anybody wants to see it. And for now, this is a Sloppy Modeler signing off. Thank you.